Have you ever wondered how an entire civilization can just completely reinvent itself in only a few hundred years? We're talking a total overhaul of everything, from how people lived and worked, to who was in charge, to the very heart of their beliefs. Well, that's exactly the story we're diving into today, the incredible transformation of ancient India.
You know, the best way to really get your head around a change this massive is with a powerful metaphor. I want you to picture the early society as a kind of raft. It's flexible, it's mobile, it's built to move with the currents. But over centuries, that raft gets taken apart piece by piece and rebuilt into something totally different, a permanent, solid foundation. Let's dig into exactly how they pulled that off. So, what we're really looking at here are two distinct but deeply connected eras. Think of it as two acts in one epic play. This isn't just a sequel, it's a complete reimagining of their world. And the contrast between these two periods, it's just night and day. On one hand, you have the Rig Vedic era. This was a semi-nomadic, pastoral society, always on the move. Their entire worldview is captured in one core text, the Rig Veda. But then you get to the Later Vedic period. Society becomes settled, focused on farming, and there's this explosion of new texts that show a way more complex world, with intricate rituals and some seriously deep philosophical questions.
All right, let's start with politics. Because, as we know, power is never static. And during this time, it went through this radical shift. The very idea of what it meant to be a leader was about to be completely rewritten.
So in the early days, the leader, the Rajan, he wasn't really a king in the way we think of one. He was more like a tribal chief, maybe a first among equals. His power wasn't absolute at all. It was fluid, and it really depended on getting consensus from these popular assemblies where people actually had a voice. It was all about the tribe, not about territory. But you can almost feel the ground shifting, right? That flexible tribal system where power was shared, well, it couldn't last forever. As the society itself started to settle down, to get bigger and more complex, the whole structure of power had to change right along with it.
And here's the result of that shift. The Rajan transforms. He's not just a chief anymore. He becomes a hereditary monarch with huge, almost divine authority. He's performing these massive public rituals like the Atharvaveda, horse sacrifice, basically to show everyone who's boss. And those popular assemblies? Poof. They either fade away completely or become these exclusive clubs for the rich and powerful. The voice of the common person? It gets a whole lot quieter.
Now, this political consolidation didn't happen in a vacuum. No, it went hand in hand with a really dramatic change in the social fabric itself. The fundamental rules of who you were and what your life could be were being completely rewritten.
This right here is one of the most profound changes of all. In the Rig Vedic period, your social role, your varna, it was based on what you did, your skills, your profession, not who your parents were. You could move around. But in the later Vedic period, that flexibility just hardens into a rigid hierarchy based strictly on birth. Your destiny was pretty much sealed the moment you were born into one of the four castes.
And you know, this social hardening had a truly devastating impact on women. In the Rig Vedic era, women held a really respected place in society. They had access to education. I mean, some were even celebrated composers of sacred hymns. They were vital partners in religious ceremonies, and awful practices like child marriage just weren't a thing. And then, look at the change. The contrast couldn't be more stark. As the society got more patriarchal and rigid, women's status just plummeted. They were denied education, pushed out of public and religious life, and their roles were shrunk down and confined to the home. A whole world of opportunity just vanished.
So you have to be asking, what was the engine driving all of this incredible change? Well, it was economic. It was all fueled by a revolutionary new technology and a massive migration into a brand new homeland.
The entire economic foundation of this civilization was rebuilt from the ground up. The Rig Vedic folks were pastoralists, always on the move. Your wealth was literally walking around on four legs. It was all about cattle. But the later Vedic economy, it was anchored in settled agriculture, owning and farming land. That became the new source of wealth and power. And the one thing that really made all this possible, the absolute game changer, it was a single metal, iron. The Rig Vedic world was a Bronze Age culture, but right around 1000 BCE, iron tools show up. This new, stronger black metal, or Shama Ayas, was incredible. It let people clear dense forests and plow tough soil in a way they just couldn't before. It supercharged farming and made large, permanent settlements possible for the very first time.
This new farming superpower didn't just change how people lived, it completely changed where they lived. It basically unlocked a vast, fertile new frontier, and that kicked off a great migration.
The whole center of gravity for this civilization literally moves. It shifts from the Septa-Sindhu region in the northwest eastward into the incredibly fertile plains between the Ganga and Yamuna rivers. This became the new heartland, the literal foundation for all the kingdoms and empires that were to come.
Okay, so let's bring it all back home, back to our central idea. We've seen how politics, society, and the economy were all completely remade. Now we can really see the full picture of how that raft truly became a foundation.
Let's break it down one last time. Politically, we go from a tribal chiefdom to a hereditary monarchy. Socially, from a flexible, more egalitarian world to a rigid, hierarchical one. Economically, from a mobile life chasing cattle to a settled life farming the land. And technologically, from bronze to iron. The raft was all about being mobile and flexible. The foundation was settled, strong, and built to last.